Hi there, I am getting some chicken ready. I'm about to make some food for the Super Bowl and also get a couple of things prepped for the week. So I'm putting these frozen chicken breasts in this big pan and I'm going to add some chicken broth to cover it up, and essentially we'll be boiling down these chicken breasts. I'm going to add quite a bit of minced garlic. I really wanted to have a lot of garlic flavor and a little bit of the lemon pepper seasoning, just a little bit of this. I will be using this chicken to make chipotle chicken egg rolls, but I'm also going to use some of this chicken to make a chicken and stuffing casserole. So I will add the chipotle after I take the chicken out for the casserole. And so in this pan I'm putting about 4 pounds of ground beef and some frozen chopped peppers and onions, as well as some garlic. I will be using this in shepherd's pie and also in some nachos later in the week. And I will be also putting it with some taco seasoning into egg rolls for the Super Bowl later. And so I'm just moving the frozen chicken breasts around, keeping them separated. It's looking pretty gross right now, but it's going to work out. And so you just want to flip them over so that they stay covered in the liquid and they cook up. And so here we go. We've got them both going at the same time, side by side on the stove. And I'm just going to keep an eye on both of them and keep giving them a stir occasionally so that everything gets cooked at the same time. And so now I'm putting the hash browns into my casserole pan, and I'm adding a can of cream of celery and a can of cream of chicken. And I'm just going to mix that all up with the hash browns. So once I get that all mixed together, I'm going to add some cheese to this. And some sour cream. And I'm at the end of this sour cream, so I end up cutting the package open and making kind of a mess. But that's all right. I didn't want to waste the little bit that was in the bottom. So we're just going to get that all stirred in, and what I'm going to do is just add the chicken chunks from the chicken that I was making on the pan to this, and I'll mix it all together so that tomorrow all I'll need to do is make up the stovetop stuffing and then put it on top and then bake it, and it'll be a really quick and easy because I do work tomorrow. And so in these pie shells, I am adding some frozen peas and carrots, and then some of the hamburger mixture that I was cooking on the stove. And I'm going to add mashed potatoes to the tops of these on the days that I'm ready to cook them. And it'll be a version of shepherd's pie. I generally don't make shepherd's pie in a pie crust, but since I had them on hand in my freezer, I decided why not. Let's see how it turns out. And so in our house, people have their own distinctive tastes and requirements as far as food goes. And so my husband likes shepherd's pie one way, and I like it another way, and one of our sons is pretty picky about what he eats. So I'm doing one with cream style corn and the meat mixture. And then the other, I'm doing the beef gravy and peas and carrots. So I'm just mixing this together, and then I will put the mashed potatoes and cheese on top. I did make a mistake and put the cheese on these already without thinking that, the cheese goes on top of the mashed potatoes, but I will just have cheese on top too. And so for this one, I'm just using some jarred Heinz beef gravy. This isn't normally how I make the shepherd's pie either, but since I am doing more than one meal at one time and kind of trying to prepare a little in advance, this is just what I decided to do in the moment. And like I said, this is kind of an experiment, and we'll see how it is. And so I just covered all of this up with foil and it went into the fridge. So this is the leftover chicken, and I'm going to get this ready to add the spices for the egg rolls. And I tried to use the meat masher, but it just wasn't working with this chicken. So I did end up getting out 2 forks and going at it like that, and even that proved to be difficult. So I do just end up kind of taking a knife or the kitchen shears to it and cutting it up that way. I don't know if it was just because it was this boneless, skinless frozen chicken, or what, I don't know. Usually I use chicken thighs, but we had this in the freezer from when we did a grocery haul when COVID began, and so I thought I needed to get this out of my freezer. And so now I'm adding some Mrs. Dash Chipotle seasoning. It was our first time using this, and I liked it a lot. We'll use it some more. I'm getting tongue-tied. So I'm just going to cook this longer and cook it in the chipotle seasoning until these juices kind of evaporate and the seasonings cook into the chicken. And by the time this chicken completely cooked and the seasonings, it was really good. I was a little worried about the texture of these frozen chicken breasts, but they turned out fine for the egg rolls. And so I have the rest of this meat. I'm going to take some of it and scoop it out and put it into a Ziploc bag, and we'll use that for one day this week when we make nachos. I'll just season it up with the seasonings for the nachos on that day when I reheat it. And so for the rest of this meat and pepper mixture, I'm going to add a Taco Bell taco seasoning packet to it. I'm not going to bother draining it because I will be using this slotted spoon to scoop it into the egg roll wrappers before I roll them up. And I did not add any of the water that the directions requires to this. And so we had mixed reviews from the family on which egg rolls they preferred, the beef or the chicken. Most everyone said they liked both, and some said that the chicken was their favorite, and some said the beef was. And so here I am just peeling some boiled eggs to add to our meat and veggie board. So now I'm adding a Ziploc bag into a mason jar, and this is how I will mix up the um, the filling for these deviled eggs. Normally I take more time and clean the eggs out a little bit better than this, but I was kind of over it at this moment. So you'll see some of the yellow is still stuck on the inside, and if these eggs were going anywhere besides in our home with our kids, then maybe I would have put a little more effort into cleaning the yolk off of the white part, but it is what it is. So to the egg yolks, I am adding some mayonnaise, about a cup. I'm also going to add some yellow mustard and some paprika. And then here's the part where if I was a neater person, I wouldn't be, making such a mess, but I always seem to make a mess. So I just squished the eggs and the mayonnaise and mustard mixture around until I get all the yolks squished up in the bag and it's all mixed together. There is a little bit too much paprika in there. It just happened, and my family seems to like it that way anyway. And so you just want to kind of just squeeze and feel around for any of the yolks and make sure that you get them mashed up really good. It can take a couple minutes to get that all incorporated. And I'm just adding a little bit more mayo at that point because it just looked a little too dark to me. And so then I'm just going to cut the tip off of the corner so that I can squeeze the mixture down and then just pipe it into the eggs. And I'm just arranging these on my board as I put them on as I put them on the way that I think I'm gonna want them with the other meats and cheeses and whatnot. I do end up taking them off and putting them on their own plate because I ran out of room. But here's our eggs. And so here I'm starting to assemble the vegetables and the dips and everything, and it's just something that I played around with a little bit until I found a way that I liked it. And it does change up before the end, before I put it out on the table. So this is what the board ended up looking like. I did take the eggs off and put them on their own plate, and now I'm going to start assembling the egg rolls. This is my first time making these, and So I don't know if I wrapped them correctly, but I did. They stayed together, so that's why it matters. The first one was tricky and I did have to redo it. Other than that, they were pretty easy to put together. So I'm starting with the chicken and I'm adding some cheese and some Taco Bell chipotle sauce. I popped the egg rolls into our deep fryer and just kept my eye on them. And when they started to look toasty brown around the edges, I took them out. And here were the egg rolls after they were taken out. And this is what our spread for the Super Bowl looked like.